Another thing that we won't expect to see much of during the postseason is fans in stands. If the Cowboys had made it, there would have been 30,000 somehow at AT&T Stadium. Elsewhere, it's going to be, for the most part, fewer than 10,000. The Bills will have 6,700. The Saints will have 3,000 and only 3,000. That's roughly the size of the crowd that we saw on Friday night in the Superdome when Ohio State beat Clemson. Here's Sean Payton, coach of the Saints, talking about a plan that he kicked around for filling up the Superdome with a lot more than 3,000 people.
You've got to be ready. But I think uniquely this year, look, the away games for any of these opponents is not as daunting maybe as it would be when you have to go in and deal with the crowd noise and all the other factors. I brought up the idea of testing 50,000 people and quarantining them in a hotel and having like the most safest Superdome known to man. Scientifically, bus them. They've tested every day, and you've got a COVID-free facility. And I think that's possible. I don't know if it's taken off or not.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how that plan went over.
It can be done, but we focus on what we can control.
After Sean Payton said that yesterday, plenty of the reporters who heard it thought he was joking. I can tell you with 100% certainty.
That was not joking.
He was not joking.
Right.
He was not joking.
It didn't
because
seem like it.
I knew. I knew about it. I knew about the planning. I had heard about the planning as it was happening, and it wasn't ripe yet to be discussed, and I wasn't authorized to talk about it, but I knew that they were at least trying different ideas, brainstorming different ideas for getting thousands of fans into the Superdome. Remember, there was one point this season, Chris, where reports started to surface and statements started to be issued that the Saints were thinking about playing at LSU Stadium in Baton Rouge.
Right.
Because they would have had 25,000 people there. This gets into the specific politics between cities and counties and within states. Some jurisdictions, let them in. Other jurisdictions, no one gets in. So I think the NFL and the Saints particularly were trying to come up with ways to maybe find a path to getting people into the Superdome. I don't think they ultimately want to play any of their games at Baton Rouge unless they absolutely have to, like they did back in 2005 after the hurricane.
That. Right.
But they wanted to get more people into the Superdome in a safe and appropriate way. And when you look around the league and you see over 10,000 fans in Cleveland or Kansas City and over 30,000 fans in Dallas, and by all appearances, and who knows if you can trust the claims and the numbers and whatever, because who knows where people get COVID-19. You get it in so many different places potentially. But when you look around and see so many fans at other games, it has to be frustrating when you're a coach of an NFL team saying, why can't we work something out here to do it? And Sean Payton tried. It didn't work,
right?
But he tried.
Tried to do it the right way, too. It wasn't like he just tried to do it and was like, the hell with it. This is what I want, and I'll break all the laws and rules and do it, Sure, that's where I respect Sean. I also respect Sean because, hey, yes, he's one of the best head coaches we've seen in football over the last 20 years, but he's always very aware of the energy of his team, trying to motivate them, give them the advantage. He understands how hard it is to go play there with those fans, the energy it brings his team. It's daunting for the other team, but he just I love him that he just exhausts all angles all the time. He really does. Whether it is going to LSU and playing there, which I did that in 2005. I was the quarterback for the Bucs. It wasn't that. It's a weird experience. I don't know how that would work out, but I appreciate Sean Payton that way. His motivational tactics every Wednesday, what he does, all of those things. He's just an all-in football guy all the time, and that's why I love him.
I still worry about the Saints suffering the same fate that we saw in 2017, 2018, 2019.
Me too.
When it changes into that playoff format, that single elimination, that win or go home. They've had their hearts ripped out and shown to them 3 different times. Minneapolis Miracle, the controversial non-call of pass interference, and then last year's overtime game that ended in a controversial non-call of offensive pass interference that really didn't become as big of a thing as it could have been or should have been.
Right.
I think also because another game was starting right away and it was a lower level. It wasn't for a berth in the Super Bowl. But hey, I love Kyle Rudolph, but he pushed off. And nobody said boo about it. So The Saints, and how do you? That's the real challenge. How do you get your guys to not have that mindset of it's going to get us? The snake's going to bite us in the butt at some point. We just don't know when. We don't know how. We don't know at which level. But at some point in the next 3 games, something's going to happen to keep us from getting to the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, that goes into everything, we were just talking about. That's where Sean Payton's amazing. Yes, I know this is like the playoffs and what's he going to do here, and they've had their issues. But how does he get them to answer the bell year after year after year like he's done anyways with those crushing losses? How does he get the team? He's an unbelievable people skills, motivation, push the right buttons type of guy. And he just understands how to do that. Even a good example, again, was how coy he was about the quarterback issue and all of that. He's always looking for a way to give his team an advantage there. I'm sure he did something this week, Mike. I'm sure, to change the vibe or get him to think of something or showed him an ex-sports legend who might have lost 2 or 3 crushing losses and then came back to dominate the world and things like that. That he'll do something like that to try to get him like, hey, we're not the first team or sports player to, be knocked on the ground a few times, but let's be like some of these greats, whether it's Muhammad Ali or whatever. And that's where he's amazing. He just finds ways to motivate his players and put a positive vibe and thought in their head.
I think the challenge for something like this is how far do you go in pointing it out? How much of it do you talk about?
Don't want to make it too big of a thing.
If you make it too big of a thing, that makes that nagging feeling bigger than maybe it would have been. Because no matter what they do on the surface, there's still going to be that nagging feeling that here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. And that's the challenge psychologically, and it's going to be there. Wild card, divisional round, NFC Championship, if they keep winning, that sense in any of those games at a critical moment, the boom is going to be lowered on the Saints and bust goes their Super Bowl run. So, look, only 2 teams are going to make it. So chances are, out of 14 teams, for 12 of them, they're going to lose, and some of them may lose in a way that they regard as spectacular and horribly deflating. But it is a testament to Sean Payton that he keeps them coming back for more. They keep having special seasons and getting back in position to play in these games. So whatever that vibe is from week 1 through week 17, Chris, that gets them to move on, that needs to carry over into the postseason.
Yeah. This week it maybe is bigger than just, hey, winning on the field. We know that, but maybe if they get a win, that's the kind of thing too that kind of washes the bad memories out of your brain that way. Hey, the last 2 times they've been on the field in playoff games, they've kind of gotten screwed over. There's no doubt. You can certainly make that case. Last year I do think the defender initially started contact on Rudolph, and then Rudolph pushed off. That's the only thing where I don't find it as egregious as the year before and all that. But, still, the fact that they continue to answer the bell and do those things, and now maybe if they can get to the playoffs, get a win, and get the vibes going, maybe that'll go a long way to giving them confidence and making a run here in the playoffs. I do think we're all a little bit, swiping the Saints under the rug a little bit in the Super Bowl conversation. I do. I think they're a Super Bowl football team. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think they're quite getting the attention they deserve because of those last 2 postseason losses, and we're not sure if they can make it through.
They need to win one.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Way similar to the way they've lost.
Maybe.
That's the key. It's not just win. It's have one of these crazy moments at the end of the game
go their way.
That's the way to exercise that demon.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.